Hi guys, welcome to your trigonometry review. Going to be a little quick review of the things that are important in trigonometry that you do need to know for calculus. And we do say what's round and what can cause major headaches. This is one of those things where you can very easily lose points on the AP, especially in the multiple choice section, because when you're looking at a multiple choice question, one of the things that you'll learn about AP calculus is they don't require you to do arithmetic. So you can leave something as like 2 plus 3 and they don't care, but you can't leave it as the sine of pi over 6. So you're going to have to know that the sine of pi over 6 is 1/2 and kind of work down from that. So they don't let you leave the trig functions in there. So you do need to basically do your times tables, which is learn the trig functions. A little reminder about the unit circle. We'll just kind of slide down here to see the beginning part of this right here. That remember that your unit circle, the x coordinate is going to give you the cosine of the trig function. That's so cosine of pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 2. And that the sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. And so this terminal point that you are given is going to give you your trig functions that you're going to look at. And so the other thing to notice about this, I'll zoom out just a little bit, let's go to 100%, is that when you're looking at this, that there's symmetry, that these terminal points, that this point here, over here in quadrant 2, so here's quadrant 1, here's quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and 4, that these 2 points are exactly the same. If you kind of go straight across, you'll see that they are the same coordinates, but there's a negative on the cosine over here because this is going to be the plus plus quadrant. This is going to be the minus plus quadrant. So this will help you figure out the SIGN, the sign of the trig function, by thinking about what quadrant you're in. If we come straight down, flip over the x-axis with the symmetry, this point down here is in the same family, and it's the minus minus quadrant. So both the cosine and the sine are negative. And then if we come straight across over here, you'll be in quadrant 4, where it is the plus minus quadrant. So cosine's positive, sine is negative. The mnemonic that we've typically used, I think we did all-star trig class, or all students take calculus would be another mnemonic that we could use. All trig functions are positive in quadrant 1. Only sine and its reciprocal cosecant are positive in quadrant 2. Tangent and its reciprocal cotangent are positive because sine divided by cosine and negative divided by negative is positive. And in quadrant 4, cosine and secant, its reciprocal, are going to be positive. So whether you learn your trig ratios by memorizing them, you can also learn them from the right triangles, the SOHCAHTOA that you're looking at as well. That's kind of where the trig functions first originally came from. You have your opposite, you have your adjacent, you have your hypotenuse. And when you're not on the unit circle, you can do your sine as opposite over hypotenuse, your cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, your tangent is opposite over adjacent. So that's kind of one way to look at it from the triangle. Here are your reciprocal functions. Make sure you know secant and cosecant, and then your quotient functions, tangent and cotangent, which are also reciprocals. Now, when we are not on the unit circle, you do want to be careful when you're taking a look at non-unit circle problems. That if, for example, suppose the coordinates that we're looking at, and we're just going to go for the easy, the pi over 4. If this is square root of 2 over 2, or square root of 2, square root of 2, then you are not on the unit circle. And you can check that really quick by simply doing x squared plus y squared. Remember, if you're on the unit circle, x squared plus y squared should equal 1. And if it doesn't equal 1, then you are not on the unit circle. So if r squared does not equal 1, you're not on the unit circle. And so that would be telling you that you can't just use the x as cosine and the y as sine. You would have to basically divide out the radius. And if you think about it, what we're basically doing here is that notice that the sine of pi over 4 is actually square root of 2 over 2. So suppose you think of this as similar triangles. If this is the terminal point on the unit circle, which is square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, what we've done to get from this little triangle right here to the larger triangle is we've simply doubled the length of each side. The radius is 2. This side is square root of 2. This side is square root of 2. And so to take this x and y and find the actual trig function, you simply divide by the radius so that you can get the similar triangle on the unit circle. You do want to know that these are called your terminal point definitions, and you do want to memorize those and use that to help you out, okay? Or you could also think of this as SOHCAHTOA and do opposite. The y is always opposite, the x is always adjacent, and of course, here's your hypotenuse. And so you can find the cosine by doing the adjacent over the hypotenuse, square root of 2 over 2, which is essentially the same thing, right? So what you're going to do now in this first video is go ahead and memorize, kind of review, figure out how you're going to remember what the trig functions are, and come down here and without looking, okay, so study first, and then just quickly answer these questions, and then you'll start part 2 of the video, which will be a couple of other examples of things that you need to know for calculus.